Thanks a lot, guys. John Saunders sitting in for Bob Lee, and we'll check back with you in just a little bit for some final thoughts on the Seattle Seahawks win.
But coming up next, it's the hour-long edition of SportsCenter. Coming up on SportsCenter, it wasn't exactly a dog pounding, but the Browns leave Minnesota gasping for air. The biggest cheer in the Bengals-Oilers game may have come on this seemingly harmless field goal. We'll tell you why. They were concerned about the state of Montana in San Francisco. Joe was reduced to a spectator, but he watched Kelly make heroes out of the wrong team. The magic is back for the Pack, but is it back in time for a playoff spot? In the topsy-turvy world of the AFC, just about everybody has a playoff spot, including the Colts. The Boz, the hair, the earrings, he's back. Not on the playing field, but in our Sunday night conversation. The Davis Cup belongs in Becker's cabinet as West Germany sends Sweden for a spill. So take your seat. The hour-long edition of SportsCenter's next.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SportsCenter, and let's check in with the National Football League first. The Minnesota Vikings went into today's game with Cleveland needing just one win in the remaining 2 games in order to clinch their first NFC Central title in almost a decade. They knew they would have a good shot next week because they beat at home, where they hadn't lost this year. But today they were on the road in Cleveland, and it was oh so cold in Cleveland. It was so cold that the fans were bundled up. They should have bundled up the Gatorade because it was freezing. You had popsicles instead of something to drink. Bernie Kosar shrugged it off, hits Ron Middleton from 5 yards out, gets it through for a touchdown. And the Vikings, though, weren't upset for too long because their answer was Herschel Walker. And Herschel Walker finds a hole as big as a Mack truck, puts his shoulders through it, and takes it in untouched, 26 yards for the touchdown. The Browns return the favor. Reggie Langhorne, big play guy for them, 65 yards. And you can forget about the cold because the Browns are starting to heat it up. The defense gets things going. Clay Matthews chasing Wade Wilson, nails him with the hit, knocks him down, and he would have to leave the game, forcing Tommy Kramer to take over. And Kramer delivers. Finishes off a long drive, connecting with Steve Jordan. The Vikings up 17-14 with 4 minutes left. 24 seconds left. Barr from 32 yards out ties the game, forces it into overtime. Langhorne again. He hooks up with Bernie Kosar. Kosar airs it out, and Langhorne has it on the fly. And it sets it up. Chris Barr once again for the field goal, but no, it's a fake. Pagel picks it up, rolls out, and tosses it to Van Waiters. He was eligible, lined up at the end position, and they overcome the victory with the overtime win. 23-17 ends the Browns' 4-game winless streak. They had a tie and 3 losses. The Browns beat the Oilers on Saturday, and they'd win their 4th AFC Central in the last 5 years. The Vikings win the division with a win over the Bengals next week. But the Packers still had a shot in the NFC Central against the Bears. Matsui playing his last game at Soldier Field. Could the Bears send him out on a high note? Well, not in the first half. Watch the magic man, Don Majkowski. Pressure, tosses it, complete to Perry Kemp. 28 yards for the touchdown, 14-7. Second quarter, back come the Bears. Jim Harbaugh to Neil Anderson with a nice catch for the touchdown to tie the game at 14. The Pack's not done, though. Watch the magic man again. He rolls out, gets behind the big guy, takes off, 17 yards for the touchdown, 24-14. Third quarter, Harbaugh remains poised. Finds the running back Anderson again, wide open. He's gone, 27-21. The Packers are still up. Still in the third, it's 30-21. Brad Muster bowls his way in from 4 yards out, 30-28. But Majkowski does it again. Rolls out, keeps it, takes it in. And the Cheeseheads are on hand to love it, 40-28. The Bears have lost 9 of their last 11 after the 4-0 start. Packers, who were 4-12 a year ago, are now 9-6 and tied with the Vikings atop the division. The Vikings would win the title if they stayed tied after next week. The Packers play at Dallas next week. The Vikings host Cincinnati.
Speaking of Cincinnati, Sam Weish didn't want to play just 4 quarters against the Oilers. No, the Bengal coach wanted to play 5 or even 6 quarters because earlier this week, Weish said it was important for Cincinnati's ego to win big this weekend. It was also important for their fading playoff hopes. But it would also have the Bengals season and probably making it by preventing Houston for clinching the Central Division title today. And this was the first play of the game for the Oilers. Warren Moon fumbles, David Fulcher recovers. Cincinnati's ball on Houston's 26-yard line. 3 plays later, 3rd and 7, Boomer Esiason, play-action pass, plenty of time, finding Eddie Brown. 22-yard score, 7-0 Cincy. There would be plenty more. Esiason kept booming. It's 38-0 Cincy. And Esiason, who would throw for 4 touchdowns on the day, and he goes up top looking for Tim McGee. And McGee, with the nicest run of the day, as he slices the Houston defense, looking for the corner and getting in a 74-yard score. 45-0 Bengals. Of course, the onside kick. Lee Johnson with the pooch kick. Ira Hillary recovers. Weish not winning any fans in Houston or with his good buddy Jerry Glanville. Sam and Boomer, let's see, how can we pour it on? Well, we've passed him to death. Let's run it. Eric Ball, the rookie out of UCLA, squirts into the end zone. That makes it 52-0. They would add a field goal with 20 seconds to go, making it 61-7. The point total ties a Cincinnati club record. Following the game, Weish gave his reasons for running up the score.
They were cocky and doing all their talking, and their coach doing all of his talking and all that kind of stuff before the game, and they got humiliated today. They just got embarrassed and humiliated, and I would hate to have to ride back on that plane and have to play the Cleveland Browns next week, because honestly, Cleveland ain't going to quit no matter what happens. They're not that kind of people, and I just I can't see that sorry team that played today doing any better than they did against us.
They played excellent, did a great job on us. No alibis, no excuses. Got our butts kicked.
Weish said after the game, if you know anybody who likes Jerry Glanville, drop me a note. He said the low point of the game was a missed extra point by the Bengals. A week ago, here are the Central Division standings. The Oilers, they are 9-6. Next week, they will host the Browns Saturday night here on ESPN. The Browns 8-6-1. The Bengals are 8-7 next Monday night at Minnesota. Big game for both. The Steelers, they are 8-7, and they are at Tampa Bay next Sunday.
The Buffalo Bills had to be a little bit scared heading into San Francisco today. The Bills had lost 3 of their last 4, and what looked like a second straight division title a few weeks back now was just a fight to assure a playoff berth. The Bills, on top of that, had to face the NFL's best team on the road. Yes, San Francisco at home, and they had to play without Cornelius Bennett, did the Bills, and the Niners without Joe Montana. Jim Kelly, though, having his problems. Passes picked off by Bill Romanowski. He will take it down to the Buffalo 23-yard line to set up Roger Craig. 2 yards, he just powers his way in behind Rathman. He had 105 yards in the day, 7-3 for the Niners. Fourth quarter, Steve Young. Here's why you don't lose much when Montana's on the sideline. Steve Young can scramble. Out of the pocket, dives for the end zone, gets the touchdown. George Seifert's club up 14-3. And after a Ronnie Lott interception, Young to Jerry Rice stretches out and gets it. Marv Levy and the Bills, a loser, 21-10. Bills lose for the 4th time in their last 5 games. Their 4th straight loss on the road. Jim Kelly intercepted 3 times. The Bills play at the Jets next week.
Like just about everyone else in the AFC, the Colts have stayed in the playoff chase, and they have done so despite an unhealthy Eric Dickerson and a little uncertainty at the quarterbacking position. The Dolphins have won 7 of their last 10. They can clinch at least a wild card spot with victories in their final 2 games, but they were feeling a little bit blue today at the Hoosier Dome, mostly to the efforts of the Dolphins' Scott Schwades. They had a smile on their face, though, for a moment. Schwades, the former wide receiver at Syracuse, takes it the distance and gives the Dolphins a 10-0 lead. Ron Meyer trying to battle back. It's Jack Trudeau. He would throw for 4 scores on the day, including this one to Andre Rison, the rookie out of Michigan State. And then the block punt, Chris Good blocks the kick of Reggie Roby, and that sets up Trudeau's second pass. And yes, the Colts, they ran the football today. Dickerson still hobbled, not the same guy, but he still finds pay dirt here. He had 2 touchdowns on the day, and well, Marino didn't think this was too humorous. Dan on the day, 15 of 23, 150 yards. And the bottom line, Indianapolis wins it by the final 42-13. Dickerson, who rushed for 107 yards, also caught a career-high 9 passes. But he left the locker room without talking to reporters. Here are the AFC Eastern Division standings. Buffalo 8-7 next week. The Bills play the Jets on Saturday. Miami 8-7. The Dolphins will host Kansas City. And the Colts, likewise at 8-7, the Colts are in New Orleans. We will have more from the NFL coming up a little bit later on. John?
Denver Broncos assistant coach Mike Shanahan says he wants to stay in the National Football League, and that's why he's turned down an offer from the University of Kentucky. Shanahan started this year as head coach of the Los Angeles Raiders, but was replaced by Art Shell. He returned to Denver as quarterback coach, where he had helped lead the Broncos to the Super Bowl as offensive coordinator. And in Alabama, the Montgomery Advisor quotes unnamed sources in the athletic department in reports that football coach Bill Curry has turned down a 3-year contract extension. The reports say Curry wanted guarantees beyond his contract should he be fired. And when you lose to Auburn, despite a great season, don't take anything away from Bill Curry, but the people still calling for his head just because he lost to Auburn.
The Shanahan thing surprised me. I think the Broncos had to say when Reeves retires, it's yours, because he had a great offer from Kentucky.
Yeah, certainly, and that might be something that kept him to stay there, keeping Denver.
More from the NFL just ahead, including a return to the scene of that Seahawks victory.
After recently posting wins over the Browns, Oilers, and Packers, the Chiefs figured to have a breather today against the Chargers. Guess what?
SportsCenter is brought to you by Michelob Dry. Bold taste with no aftertaste. Mick Dry refreshes completely. And by Remington Microscreen Shavers.
Dad, a blade razor with a motor?
Yes, Tori, the Remington Electroblade. Vibrating twin blades feel like they're massaging your whiskers away or your money back.
Keep the money. I'll keep the Electroblade.
Razor sharp kid, eh? The Remington Electroblade.
The original, the shower massage by Teledyne Water Pick.
To keep your business performing,
hello? We've lost some music.
Konica fax machines deliver on the spot. When overnight just won't do, Konica Facsimile saves the day.
Well, what'd he say?
He said, Kirkwood, you're smart, you're aggressive, you're brilliant, creative, aggressive, brilliant.
He said all that, did he?
Well, something to that effect.
Come on, what else?
Stock, sign-on bonus, company car. Of course I'm gonna turn it down.
The job?
The car.
The Legends sedan from Acura. #1 in customer satisfaction. 3 years in a row.
Tonight's analysis is brought to you by Acura Automobiles. #1 in customer satisfaction 3 years in a row.
On our ESPN Sunday night matchup, it featured an interesting dilemma. You have the Seahawks, who have trouble winning at home. Right. The Raiders, they can't win at anyone else's home.
Both teams came into tonight's game with playoff hopes still alive, but unlike Seattle's chances, you don't need a computer to figure out LA's postseason aspirations. Chris Berman is here with the recap. Chris.
4 teams had a shot on the penultimate Sunday of the season, Week 15, to get into the NFL playoffs. The last of them being the Raiders. Sunday Night Football on ESPN playing the Seahawks. Win, they're in. Oh, if it were so easy. Up in the kingdom where the Raiders have had plenty of trouble, Art Shell, Raiders win, they're in the playoffs. But he had to deal with the noisy Kingdom crowd. And on the first possession of the game for the Seahawks, Dave Craig buys some time and finds Paul Scansey for a touchdown. Seahawks lead it 7-0. Raiders drive downfield. Bo Jackson leaps, stretches for the end zone. Now, you can look at it and say he's over the goal line. No. Melvin Jacobs scoops up the fumble. He runs for a touchdown. No. They ended up after a long look, blowing the play dead. LA settles for a field goal. Steve Berline takes some lumps. Boom! Jeff Bryant nails him. He fumbles. The Raiders recover. But Al Davis not pleased. The Raiders down 13-3 at the half. And to start the second half, Berline goes up top to fast Willie Gault. Pretty pass, nice catch, 13-10 Seattle lead. Next LA possession, they drive down, and Berline to Trey Junkin. The end zone, the Raiders lead by more than a Trey. They lead by 4, 17-13. But here come the Seahawks. Craig scrambling. And his big fullback is such a nice receiver. John L. Williams, nice catch for the touchdown. John L. with over 100 receiving yards. Seahawks lead it 20-17. Another Norm Johnson field goal makes it 23-17. Tom Flores wondering if they can hold on. On fourth down, they do hold on. Berline's pass is too high, and the Raiders run out of time. The Seattle Seahawks beat the Raiders 23-17. Of course, Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann called the game for us this evening. And I guess all around the league, and in the case of these two teams, guys, it's a John Travolta game because everybody is staying alive.
Boy, aren't they ever, Chris? One of the interesting things we found talking to Art Shell before this game is he said he wanted the Raiders not to make the big mistake early and give the Seahawks momentum and get the crowd in the game. So they came out and maybe were a little bit more conservative than they would have been otherwise, and it cost them in the first half.
Much more conservative. I really feel like if there was a key to this football game, it was the ineffectiveness of the Los Angeles Raiders early to try and get their big play people into the game. They seem very content to just try and break Bo loose, totally forgetting about Mervin and Willie. Second half, they turned around and started to put the ball up to him, and that's when they started to move it.
Now, you said early it was going to be a quarterback game. Somebody was going to make the play. Somebody else was not going to. Berline did not make at least enough of them, something that Art Shell said had bothered him about his offense. But Dave Craig did make the plays for the third straight game.
Boy, he really did. I mean, you talk about Dave Craig going on a streak. He was absolutely fantastic tonight. He moved around well, which he enjoys. He told me he loves to move around. Basically, it's a drop-back pass offense, but nah, David Craig likes to move around a little bit, and he showed it tonight with the big touchdown to John L., the one to Scansey. You know, he can make play after play.
When the Seattle Seahawks are able to run the ball, as they did some tonight, it really opens up that offense for them.
It makes a world of difference. Anytime you can run the football on first down, you truly get the defense into a defensive mode. Tonight, the Seahawks did it. The Raiders didn't. The Raiders have to wait till next week now.
All right, Chris, maybe you can do something for us that we couldn't do. You can explain how Seattle can still make the playoffs.
Well, let me tell you, with 50 cents and a cup of coffee and about a week, I could probably explain that. But the Seahawks are still alive. Unbelievable, but it seems like everybody is alive. And talk about a couple teams that are alive. Our next game on Saturday night will settle the AFC Central crown. The Cleveland Browns and the Houston Oilers in the Astrodome. That's a Saturday night start, the 23rd at 8 Eastern Time. The winner will win the Central. The loser may be a wild card. The loser might not be a wild card. So that's our game next Saturday night. But we've got more on this edition of SportsCenter because this is Sunday night, including I'll be back a little bit later on with a lengthy conversation I had with the boss, Brian Bosworth, the guy notable by his absence from the Seattle Seahawks. But for now, let's go back to Dan and John.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Plenty of options still left remaining, as you just tried to explain. We'll try and get to most of them a little bit later. The Kansas City Chiefs weren't thinking too much about the playoffs 5 weeks ago. The Chiefs were 4-6 and looking at next season. But Kansas City then went undefeated in their next 4, winning 3 and tying 1, and were looking postseason in the face. Enter the San Diego Chargers with a 4-10 record. Looked to be easy, right? Well, the bad news for Kansas City was Christian Okoye was banged up. His replacement, Todd McNair, from the shotgun, takes the handoff and takes off. Isn't caught before he reaches the 15. Then DeBerg, pressured coming, dumps it off to McNair. Takes it in for the touchdown, 13-0 Chiefs. But Billy Joe Tolliver had Santa Claus on his side. Billy Joe finds wide open Anthony Miller. Chargers take the lead, 17-13. Under 2 minutes to go in the game. DeBerg to Clarence Weathers. Finds Weathers wide open. Big gainer before he goes out of bounds. 4th and 2, time running down. DeBerg finds Weathers again for the first down. 35 seconds left in the game. DeBerg finds Weathers. Chiefs still alive. But with 19 seconds left, DeBerg decides I won't go to Weathers this time, and he's picked off in the end zone. Roy Bennett with the interception. Dan Henning's Chargers with the win at Arrowhead, 20-13. And it ends a 4-game losing streak for San Diego, and the Chiefs their first loss in the last 5 games.
When we come back, more from the NFL, including the league's other rookie named Sanders. He's the quieter one of the two.
No U in his name. And the Steelers are looking for their first playoff appearance since 1984, but they're going to need some help.
Wait 90 days until you pay at Fugit Ford Mercury Mazda. Buy any new car or truck and your first payment isn't due for 90 days. Fugit Ford Mercury Mazda, family owned and operated in Enumclaw for 25 years, where it's easy to buy a car.
Some of the finest medical care in the world is available at Shriners Hospitals. It's given to children with orthopedic problems absolutely free. How do I know? I'm Pat Morita. And when I was a kid, I was a patient at a Shriners Hospital.
In most ways, it's unlike any Subaru ever built. It's a full-size luxury compact with more horsepower than any car in its class, and the styling and amenities of a European sedan. Yet you get a feeling from this all-new Subaru that it has somehow been here before. That it has inherited a tradition of excellence in front and four-wheel drive technology. Which makes this more than our finest car. It makes this our legacy.
Your business. No matter what size the job, Konica copiers are ready. Konica, capturing the imagination.
Silver and gold medalists decorate the ice for the holidays on ESPN. Olympic and national champions battle in professional competition at the World Cup of Figure Skating. Monday night on ESPN.
Welcome back to SportsCenter. The New York Jets are the NFL's version of a quicker picker-upper. When all else fails, check the schedule to see when the Jets are in town. New York is assured of their worst season since 1980. As for their opponent, coming off that heartbreaking loss Monday night to the Niners, the Rams still hoping their season will continue after next week. And the quarterback shuffle, O'Brien, Ryan, and Eason. It was Eason getting the start, and not a whole lot to brag about. Brett Farinez falls on the ball, led to a Greg Bell score. Bring in Ken O'Brien. O'Brien, some trickery, the flea flicker. A.B. Brown back to O'Brien, looking for more. Jerry Gray there to knock it down. Jim Everett, usual performance. Looking up top, Flipper Anderson had only one catch on the day. He made the Jets pay for it, 21-7 L.A. The play that probably epitomized the game for the Jets. Everett, Buford, McGee fumble. James Hasty will pick it up. And Hasty goes looking for more. He fumbles. Aaron Cox falls on it. As for Joe Walton, well, gee, what can I do? Not a whole lot. 38-14, the final. Everett, 273 yards, 2 touchdowns. The first Ram quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards. Yes, Dieter Brock never even did that. He leads the league with 28 touchdowns. The Redskins' playoff hopes would have remained alive if the Rams had lost. Well, the posse did their part. Gary Clark, Art Monk, and Ricky Sanders, becoming only the second trio of receivers to each gain 1,000 yards in a season. Joyner, Winslow, and Jefferson did it for the Chargers in 80. But it was Atlanta going to the air, building up a 17-point lead. Chris Miller to Michael Haynes, 72-yard score. Third quarter, here come the Skins. Ripping, play-action pass, and looking for Art Monk. Doesn't look like he's got great speed, but he's gone. 27-17 Falcons. Page 2. Same story. Rippin. Ricky Sanders. Sanders looking to get in, but knocked out at the 1. Ernest Biner would score from the 1, 27-24. After Miller was picked off again, Rippin 4th and 1. The play fake takes it in himself. The 8-yard scamper, 31-27 Redskins. No scoring in the fourth quarter as Washington holds on to win it by the final of 31-30. Falcons look tremendous for at least a half of this game, but then they fall short. Rippin, 17 of 27, 284 yards. Atlanta, now 3-12. Hey, they're guaranteed the first pick in next year's NFL draft.
The New England Patriots were eliminated from the playoffs last week, and today hope to have the Pittsburgh Steelers join them. The Steelers, despite a terrible start, were still in the hunt, starting the day with an 8-6 record and on a roll of late. But it was cold, 9 below zero. Santa Claus didn't mind it, but the players hated it. Frozen turf. Jeff Fiegels, the punter, slips and just barely gets his toe on it. The next one, he decides, I'll try a drop kick. No, maybe I better just let it go and boot it off the one hopper. Everyone with their problems. Hartley Dykes falls down going for a pass. Mark Wilson dropping back in the pocket. He slips on the turf. The Steelers did lead 14-3 at halftime. That was pretty important. Then Lewis Lips takes the reverse and 58 yards, the longest run of his career, for a touchdown. No one even lays a hand on him as he's gone, 21-3. Even referee Tom Dooley, though, Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, and get out of the way because he runs into Bubby Brister. It's picked up by Roland James, but he can't advance it. He thought he had a touchdown. Steelers win it 28-10. Steelers' fourth win in their last 5 games. Defense has allowed just 10 points in the last 2 games. They still have a shot for the playoffs. It would be the first time in 5 years.
The Lions were hoping to move into a new neighborhood today because a win over Tampa Bay would allow Detroit to leave the Central Division's basement. This was one of the few games on the day that didn't have playoff implications, but the Lions have certainly looked like a playoff team during the last 3 weeks. One of the better teams thanks to this guy, Barry Sanders, this year's Rookie of the Year, looking for his 6th 100-yard day and looking to break Billy Sims' Detroit rookie rushing record. Just a sampling of what Sanders can do. As they closed in on him, he reverses his field and looks like he's going to get in. He's brought down at the 4. This led to a Richard Johnson touchdown. 7-0 Lions. Bob Galliano once more. He hits Jason Phillips, 55-yard score, Phillips' first touchdown as a pro. Sanders again, second quarter, 17-0 Lions, and watch the nice cut. And then buries his head and makes it 24-0. Third quarter, it's Sanders again. This run breaks the Lions' rookie rushing record. Sanders sets the mark at 1,312 yards. Sims, Sanders, and the Lions pick up the victory. In fact, Barry said he wanted number 20 because Billy Sims wore that as a Detroit Lion. 33-7 is the final. The Buccaneers scored in the game's final play a 69-yard bomb to Mark Carrier. Tampa Bay has lost 8 of their last 10. They slipped to 5-10 overall. Sanders, who had 104 yards, turned in his longest run of the season, 34 yards.
Monday night, the Philadelphia Eagles travel to New Orleans to face the Saints. The Saints have already been eliminated at 7-7. And the Eagles are trying to control their own destiny by winning the NFC East. The Eagles win the title if they win their next 2 or finish in any tie with the New York Giants. Allie Sherman, Billy Kilmer, and I will preview the game Monday night at 8 on Zenith Monday night matchup. But, Dan, it really is one of only several games yet to come in the season's final week that will have an outcome on the playoffs.
So we have to explain this now?
Yeah, go ahead. Give it a try.
All right, let's master the possibilities. Actually, the NFC started the day with 7 teams alive, 4 of those holding their own destinies. You know San Francisco, they have the home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. Then you've got the Giants. They're already in as a wild card team, but they're hoping to pick up the division, and they can win that if Philadelphia loses one of their last 2 and New York wins their final game. Now to the teams controlling their own destiny. Minnesota, well, they have to win next week against the Bengals. They're not going to get in as a wild card team. They have to win the division. As for the LA Rams, if they win next week at New England, they reach the playoffs as a wild card team. Philadelphia, they need at least 1 victory to clinch the wild card spot. They would clinch the division with 2 victories, or if the Giants lose their final game. And then you've got the team needing help, the Packers. Green Bay, they must win next week to make the playoffs. If the Packers beat Dallas and Minnesota loses to Cincinnati, the Packers win the division. All right, my turn. Now we send it to you. There were 11 teams in the AFC that had better than 500 records, or at least 500 records today. Now it's still a convoluted plot here.
Yeah, I took all that down during the NFC, and that sounded complicated, but listen to this. The AFC, it's even more complicated. Starting today, 14 teams in the AFC. Only San Diego, New England, and the Jets had been eliminated. The Denver Broncos wrapped up the AFC West title 3 weeks ago. Today wrapped up home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They're the only team that's in there. Now, teams controlling their own destiny with wins next week. The Oilers and Browns meet at the Astrodome. The winner wins the AFC Central. If the Bills win at the Jets, they win the AFC East. If the Colts win at New Orleans, they clinch a wild card or the division title if Buffalo loses. And these teams need various things to happen to get in. The Dolphins still could win the AFC East if they win while Buffalo and Indianapolis lose. The rest on the list can only win a wild card berth, and they have to wait, especially Seattle. Everybody has to lose, and Seattle has to win for them to get in.
Sounds like a word problem you had in high school or something.
Let's wait till Week 16. We'll tell you everyone who's in.
Coming up on this hour-long edition of SportsCenter, no more playoff scenarios. We've got the Boz, we've got hoops, both pros and college.
Including the Irish and the Bruins, hoping to rekindle a great rivalry. Stay with us.
If your pictures suffer from red eye, there's a better way to clear it up. The new Olympus Infinity Zoom 200. The zoom camera that significantly reduces red eye. Get the new Olympus Infinity Zoom 200. The the zoom camera that significantly reduces red eye.
Another Pontiac First is ready for delivery. The first four-door version of Grand Prix style and performance. The new Grand Prix Sports Sedan. You've got to drive it. Get on the Pontiac and ride! Pontiac ride! The exciting new four-door Grand Prix. You've got to check it out. Rebuild excitement! Now get 4.8% financing on every new Grand Prix during Pontiac's All-Out Excitement Closeout.
Welcome back now to the NBA. Doctors have given Ramon Ramos a 50-50 chance of survival. The Portland rookie remains in a coma after being critically injured in a car accident. Blazer co-captain Jerome Kersey said it's difficult to concentrate on basketball because everyone's thoughts are with their teammate. Now, tonight, Portland had to play basketball as they were hosting the Indiana Pacers, and Terry Porter to Clyde Drexler, and the Glide had 26. Later, Vern Fleming. Fleming having a great year. He starts the Indiana fast break. Reggie Miller will then finish it off. Miller having an all-star season. He had 25 on the evening, but Portland led from the first quarter on. It's Kersey to Porter to Duckworth, and it's all over from there. Then it is Kersey to Drexler to the rookie out of Connecticut, Cliff Robinson. The same result as the Blazers roll, picking up the victory by the final of 121-113. They've lost just twice at Memorial Coliseum.
As expected, it's been a rough first season for the expansion Minnesota Timberwolves. The Wolves, winners of just 5 of their first 21 games, are currently on a losing streak that was just a game away from equaling their win total. Tonight, hosting the first-place Utah Jazz, and things would not be easy on the night. Mark Eaton to John Stockton, alley-oop to the mailman. Jazz by 3 at halftime. Bill Musselman is thinking, how do I get back in this game? Get the ball to the super sub. Brad Lohaus hits 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 points in the third. Wolves up 99-93. Blue Edwards, though, will take it back the other way and go coast to coast for the jam. John Stockton then to the mailman, and Malone takes it off the glass. 122-112. Get a timeout. He gets the loss. 34 points for the mailman. The Wolves, 5th straight loss. The Jazz with a half-game lead in their division. In Houston, the Rockets hosting this year's other expansion group, Orlando, and they're a winner easily, 109-94. Hakeem with 32 points, 25 rebounds, 10 blocks. For the 5th time in his career, he hits the triple-double.
If the Suns were going to get their first road victory of the season, it figured to be tonight in Sacramento. Phoenix has dropped all 7 of their games away from Veterans Memorial Coliseum by an average of 7 points per game. Tonight's opponent, the less-than-average Kings, who have dropped 3 straight. And it was mostly Phoenix Suns night, having to tighten their belt without Kevin Johnson again. First half, Suns looking good. KJ's replacement, Jeff Hornacek, the blind pass, Kurt Rambis, and Tom Chambers gets the roll. They build up a 14-point lead. Vinny Del Negro leaves it for Rodney McRae, and the lead down to 5. Second half, Tisdale gets the bucket and the foul. Kings take a 1-point lead. KJ thinking, not again. Eddie Johnson was on fire tonight. He had 37 from different ranges, but with the same result. Dan Marley looking up at the score, as we do as well, and Phoenix wins it by the final of 125-113. First road win of the season.
In college basketball, the UCLA Bruins can't say it's been easy this year, barely surviving a couple of early season wins. But just the same, the Bruins were 5-0 today as they moved into South Bend, Indiana to face the Fighting Irish. Notre Dame, winners of 4 of the last 5 against the UCLA Bruins, and it would be a good one again today. Elmer Bennett, 35 feet out at the buzzer. UCLA's lead is cut to 1 at halftime. Keith Robinson continues the Irish on a 31-5 run, baseline move. And then how about this 15-footer from way out, inside and outside, showing good presence. The loose ball knocks this one home, 21 points. Jim Herrick's club sees it slipping away. Trevor Wilson with the turnaround off the glass. And after the Irish hit 2 free throws, Derek Martin's 3-pointer won't go, and the Irish win it 86-84. 13th-ranked Bruins lose for the first time. Keith Robinson played only 1 minute, 43 seconds in the first half because of foul trouble, and he scored all 21 of his points in the second half.
Oklahoma State has 2 of the better players in the Big 8, and Richard Dumas and Byron Houston. Now, the question for the 22nd-ranked Cowboys is, what about the rest of the team? On Sunday, they ventured out of the conference and into Tulsa, Oklahoma, where the Golden Hurricanes were ready, willing, and able. And they displayed the golden touch. That's J.D. Barnett, and he's pumped up. And he's got reason to be on the break. Lamont Randolph, the touch pass. Michael Scott with the slam. Oklahoma State, Leonard Hamilton, his team can play. Royce Jeffries, the miss, but there is Houston. And he comes up with the slam. 19 points, 17 boards. Indeed, a hair-raising experience. But the power sign, and this is power basketball. Reggie Shields, the alley-oop. Wade Jenkins, the hoop, the foul, and fans say, see you later, Oklahoma State. Tulsa upsets the 22nd-ranked Cowboys, 95-80. Richard Dumas had 23 points in the losing cause. The Canes now 4-2. The Cowboys 4-3 to Blacksburg, Virginia. Bimbo Coles and the Hokies hosting West Virginia. Coles with a steal, but Tracy Shelton forces the turnover, allowing Chris Brooks to go in for the easy dunk. All 5 of Scott Davis's points came in the last minute and 53 seconds. This 3 helped send the game into overtime. In overtime, it was freshman Rod Wheeler. And Wheeler, the three-pointer. Then it's Wheeler again. And this time takes it in, the leaner, and the Hokies rally for a 75-68 overtime victory. This game was postponed on Saturday due to snow. Hokies now 4-2. The Mountaineers slipping to 2-3.
Tech has Georgetown coming up next, so they'll get a real test then. Stay with us. Dan and I will return in just a moment with our Sunday night conversation with the boss, Brian Bosworth, and tonight's play in the NHL straight ahead.
But first, we look at some of today's college hoop scores, and look at the shocker. Dartmouth over Texas A&M in the famed Lobster Shootout Championship.
Some people see shaving as something you do for 3 minutes a day. At Braun, we see it as something you do for a lifetime, and we think you should make the best of it. The Braun Shaver, with its 3 shaving positions. Designed for those who choose to make a virtue out of necessity. Braun, the world's #1 selling foil shaver.
If you're not watching movies on a Mitsubishi big screen television, you're not seeing them the way they were meant to be seen. Mitsubishi big screen TV. It's not a big television, it's a small theater.
A legend has been created. Not just another battery, but a better battery for the future. Better in reserve power, with up to 2 hours and 25 minutes in reserve for those critical times, like when you leave your lights on. Better in price, with a winter sale going on now when you need it most. Better in availability, since it's now at over 20,000 Napa outlets. On sale through December, the Napa Legend, the better battery.
ESPN is your ringside seat for a middleweight face-off. Knockout artist Glenn Wolfe battles Matthew Hilton when Budweiser presents Top Rank Boxing. Tuesday night at 8 Eastern, live on ESPN.
The Buffalo Sabres picked up just their first loss at home this season last week in 15 games at the odd. And they've already avenged that with a win Saturday afternoon at Boston. Tonight, back home to host the Patrick Division-leading Philadelphia Flyers, and what a great comeback this would be. No one could figure out what to do with the puck tonight. To put it over here in the corner. Well, the Flyers could figure out what to do with it, but how about a little luck? Pelle Eklund picks it up, doesn't even know where it is, and just spins and fires it between the legs through the 5-hole. Alexander Mogilny with a nice move right there. Then puts it past Reggett, tie the game at 3. Third period still tied up. Mike Foligno to Pierre Turgeon. And Turgeon with a little soul on ice pumps it there into the corner. Sabres figured out what to do with the puck and put it in the net 4 times. You win. Mogilny with 2, Housley with 2 assists on this one.
The Canadians are in an unaccustomed position. Second place in the Adams division. Montreal has the second most wins in the NHL. The problem is the division-leading Sabres have the most in the league. There was some electricity in Madison Square Garden tonight. It's been there all year long, but there's been little power. New York is 0 for their last 22 power plays. Roger Nielsen trying to do something tonight against Pat Burns' team as they were in, and Nielsen trying to get his team off in the first period. Habs couldn't score on their power play. Seconds after the penalty expires, it's Jyrki Lumme to Stephon Richer, who feeds Shane Corson for the goal. Habs up 1-0. Second period, Habs lose Chris Chelios to a penalty. Montreal manages to fight off the Rangers' power play again. Brian Skrudland clears the puck. Chelios coming out of the penalty box. He passes it to Chelios. And going in on Bob Froze. Good. Habs win it by the final of 2-0. Patrick Roy wasn't in goal. Brian Hayward was. 21 saves, his 6th career shutout, 3rd time in their last 7 games. New York has been blanked. After winning their last 3, the Devils closer to the top of the Patrick division than to the bottom. Picking up the victory tonight, former Olympian Chris Terreri, 30 saves, Sylvain Turgeon with a goal, Kirk Muller, and Vyacheslav Fetisov with the empty netter with 11 seconds to go.
The Edmonton Oilers are back where they spent most of the 1980s atop the Smythe division, but there's not much security there. Just 6 points separate Edmonton, Calgary, Los Angeles, and Winnipeg. Tonight, the Oilers met the leaders in the North Division, the Chicago Blackhawks, a place where they didn't spend most of the 80s, and Chicago picks up the win in this one. Doug Wilson with his 700th career point. Adam Graves had the hat trick for Edmonton, but not enough, as Gilbert and Creighton had 2 goals apiece. Quebec and Vancouver. Tony Tanti with 2 goals in this one for the Canucks.
Well, Brian's song this season has been a rather quiet one. When SportsCenter returns, the Boz speaks his piece in our Sunday night conversation.
Some people choose to walk up to the front of the stage. Others choose to stay behind the scenes. For some reason, I'm always in front of the curtain, whether I want to or not.
It's big, it's now. It's Pontiac's all-out excitement closeout. Now with our longest-term 4.8% finance rate ever on Grand Prix. That's right. Now every new Grand Prix is available with long-term 4.8% financing. Or get your share of millions in cash back on Grand Prix and almost every other new 1990 Pontiac in stock. But hurry, your Pontiac dealer is closing out the year with big cash back or 4.8% financing on Grand Prix. It won't last long. See your Pontiac excitement dealer now.
To keep your business performing,
Hello? We've lost some music.
Konica fax machines deliver on the spot. When overnight just won't do, Konica facsimile saves the day.
One dry is brewed longer. One dry is brewed from the most expensive ingredients. One dry refreshes completely. One taste, and you'll know why. The One Dry is Michelob Dry.
Brian Bosworth came into the National Football League with more fanfare than any rookie before his time. A holdout followed by an $11 million contract with Seattle, a controversial book, and a publicity campaign second to none. But the Boz to this point has yet to produce on the field. Injuries kept him out of much of his second year. Then this year in Week 2 against Phoenix, the Boz suffered a season-ending injury to his shoulder. Recently he sat down with our Chris Berman to talk about what it's like to be on the outside looking in.
Living in denial for 2 years and understanding at that point in time what the doctors were telling me made me understand that a decision had to be made. I wasn't ready to make a decision. So by sitting out this season, I have time to reevaluate what's going on with me, what's going on with my life, whether Seattle, the Seahawks, the system, the scheme of things is the right thing for Brian Bosworth. And this has given me the time to reflect back on that.
As he reflects on Seattle, he's quick to recognize the Seahawks for what they are, a class organization, and he has the highest praise for his dealings with Coach Chuck Knotts. But Seattle's defensive scheme is a 3-4, where the middle linebacker reads and reacts, as opposed to the scheme in Philadelphia or Chicago, the 4-3 or 46 defense, where the middle linebacker dictates much more. Does he wish things were different?
I started to understand the system, the scheme, and understood what they wanted from me. And that basically was to, you know, tame all the talents that I had. You know, start covering people, you know, just drop into coverage, use my 4.5 speed so I could hurry back and drop in a 10-yard and stop, you know. And at that point in time, I suddenly realized that I'm not going to be able to utilize what I have. I'm not going to be able to chase John Elway down every play. I'm not going to be able to go and do whatever I wanted to do. What got me there to begin with at Oklahoma, to just wreak havoc on the field, you know, to be turned loose. If I just play and do what they want me to do, then I'll be just that. I'll be their consummate linebacker. I'll be their Seattle Seahawk, number 55 linebacker on your program, smile and clap your hands when he comes out for introduction, and no more, no less.
But being the Seattle Seahawks consummate linebacker is not your idea.
That's not my idea.
Brian, do you always need a stage? Or they're like bigger stages that you have in mind?
Life is a stage.
Yes.
Some people choose to walk up to the front of the stage. Others choose to stay behind the scenes. For some reason, I'm always in front of the curtain, whether I want to or not.
You put yourself in that spot, though.
I guess so. I guess so. A lot of times they say it's the look. You know, a lot of times they say it's the appearance. You know, I disagree with that because I've worn wigs. You know, I've put hats on. I've worn different glasses, different clothes, and that's not it. It's what it is. It's an aura, and it's an attraction. It's a magnetic attraction. You know, some people have, some people don't have. It's just how you choose to deal with it. It's what you choose to do with it once you realize you have it. You can either do something good with it, or it can be a total screw up and not do anything with it.
Do you wish you had some things back that you put in the book, or maybe you wish you put some more things in the book you didn't say?
Things that were in the book, and I wish we didn't have to take them out. All those, we had a lot of fun with that book. You know, that book was a lot of fun.
Well, that's what it was about, wasn't it?
That
somewhat.
Education, you know, showing people that this is what's really going on, not only with my school, but with everybody else's school. So we had a lot of fun with it.
Speaking about Oklahoma, actually, now that a year after the book came out, or less than a year after the book came out, all the sanctions and all the findings about what went on at school, you're pretty light with them.
I was very light with him. But, you know, the thing that makes me the happiest is that change has been made. Barry was out. I knew that would happen. Gary came in and did a great job, even though 7-4 isn't considered great for Oklahoma. But under the adversity and the things he had to deal with, I thought he did a great job. He's going to maintain the integrity of the school. The thing about Oklahoma is that they're not unlike the other 248 schools in Division I football. Everybody has their problems. Football players will be football players, and when you take that many football players out of their environment that they were used to in high school, bring them into an environment in college and turn them loose, and they have free reign over a university, over a campus, over a city, and they're treated like gods, they will take advantage of it. Most of them will, and most of them do.
Do you wish that maybe you didn't take off on John Elway, on other things, other pro players, other... I know Elway always gets a smile out of you. that maybe... Now you played pro ball for 3 years or been around it, or been a member of the Seahawks. Was that all necessary? Or it was fine and you wouldn't change a thing?
I wouldn't really change a thing, to tell you the truth. You know, everybody thinks there's this great fraternity when it comes to NFL football. If I know 7 players in the whole league of the NFL, that would be the most of them. If I called 5 of them my friends, I guess that would be the max there too. There's not a fraternity there. I could care less about half of them unless I'm waking up next to them in the morning or they're signing my paychecks and writing my bills, and I don't really care what they think, and I don't really care about their opinions. So they do their own thing, I do my thing, and they can judge me, I'll judge them.
However, being a teammate, that's a different story. You're talking friendship, but a teammate, you're with...
A teammate, and, you know, somebody like that, you know, you go to war with them, you know, you do whatever it takes to get the job done. And at that level, that's exactly what it is. It's a job. That's what took a lot of the fun out of it. But as long as you signed on to do that job, as Chuck so appropriately puts it most of the time, you do the job, you punch your card, and you get the hell home. When I'm on the football field, I'm very focused. And the guys that played with me knew that. I was very serious. When I went out there to play, I played, and I wanted to hurt people. I did whatever I had to do to play. The guys that were the closest to me knew I was playing hurt. They wanted me not to play. They asked me, why are you playing? Why don't you just sit down and not play because it's not worth it. It hurts me to see you playing hurt. And they knew how much I loved the game. And those are the guys that I respect the most out of this game.
I know you're adjusting your mind because you're using past tense. I played. And I'm not saying that you've decided that, well, I can't play anymore, but I played rather than I play. So obviously, are you prepared for the day? I don't know, but I guess perhaps you are. Perhaps you are prepared.
Hey, you know, you might be right. You know, you never know. I'll tell you what, though, if you don't prepare yourself before it happens, you're coming into a real shock when it does happen. At least I'm lucky enough to where I can see the light on beyond the tunnel. And it comes to those players as a Dexter Manley when all of a sudden you get that letter and saying, just turn in your helmet, son, you're not playing again. That's what I don't want to deal with. I don't want to deal with a coach coming down and saying, Chuck wants to see you, turn in your playbook. Thanks for coming by. Leave the decision to Brian Bosworth, and that'll make me happy.
You wouldn't be caught barefoot in the ice and snow, now would you? Of course not. Yet many people will be caught without proper traction tires on their vehicle. Your neighborhood Big O Tire store has the answer. Mud and snow tires with deep, aggressive treads to help you get safely through the ice and snow. And with over 260 stores, Big O gives you the best products at the best prices. So don't get stuck in the snow. Get to Big O Tires, your winter tire headquarters.
Wait 90 days until you pay at Fugit Ford Mercury Mazda. Buy any new car or truck and your first payment isn't due for 90 days. Fugit Ford Mercury Mazda, family owned and operated in Enumclaw for 25 years, where it's easy to buy a car.
She's young, but Laura Butler already ranks among the great American investors. She buys U.S. savings bonds because the time to start thinking about retirement isn't when she retires. Be a great American investor. Call 1-800-
I don't think this is what they had in mind. Atlanta acquired 37-year-old catcher Ernie Whitt on Sunday, along with outfielder Kevin Bautista, in exchange for Rick Tralasek. Whitt was the last original member of the Blue Jays.
Boris Becker was in a dream world over the weekend, and as a result, the Davis Cup Finals turned into a nightmare for the Swedish team. Becker's play was described by his coach today as being almost unthinkable. He was also unhittable. The Swedish team looking over the poinsettias and looking at Boris Becker hitting missiles all day. Becker had 13 aces. Yeah, he deserved a round of applause. 13 aces, and Wilander couldn't get any breaks today. Wilander won't be able to get to the return. He comes into the net, and to no avail. And Becker serving for the match. He lost a little steam off that serve because Wilander at least returned it into the net. West Germany's second straight Davis Cup title. Becker wins it 6-2, 6-love, 6-2. Becker 27-2 lifetime in Davis Cup competition. In singles matches, West Germany won the cup by a final of 3-2. And it is that time of the week once again because the plays of the week coming up momentarily.
John Elway's quarterback for your Nintendo Entertainment System. Choose an opponent, then get set for the pad-cracking action. Outthink the competition using real football strategies. It's realistic football strategy, action, and graphics.
What's all the noise? It's just the game, Mom. Oh.
So get in the game with John Elway's quarterback. Trade West, we put you in the action. And coming soon, Magic Johnson's Fast Break and Ivan Iron Man Stewart's Super Off-Road.
Right now, during Isuzu's Take It to the Bank sale, generous factory cash is helping people save big bucks that they can take straight to the bank.
Hi, I'd like to make a deposit. I love this bank. You never have to wait in line.
Right now, you could save big bucks on the Isuzu pickup during our Take It to the Bank sale.
The surging Clemson Tiger attack digs in for a major challenge. Major Harris leads West Virginia against Clemson at the Mazda Gator Bowl. Part of Bowl Week, Saturday, December 30th at 8 Eastern, live on ESPN.
Christmas may be a week away, but tonight we stuff your stocking with some goodies.
Yes, time for the naughty and nice from the week that was, the plays of the week.
Hey, quit your crying. You're acting like a 2-year-old. And look, we've got Rob Lowe on videotape at the Jazz game. Karl Malone, you'd better hide your eyes because it's time for... We begin with the Sportsmanship of the Week award, going to Tulsa's Michael Scott. Steve Henson sinks a clutch free throw, and Scott is the first one to pass out congratulations.
Scott, you're on the other team.
You're wearing blue, son.
Yeah, you don't have a white uniform on.
What was that all about?
But not everyone was on their best behavior, and hockey doesn't have a lock on face-offs. Gino Cavallini with holiday wishes for Wendell Clark, and Keith Crowder looking for a fight. Adam Burt with a greeting for Miko Makala. Hold on, take a minute, collect your senses. We'll just wander into the end zone here and spike the, wait a minute, enough head over heels? How about St. Leo's in a game over their head? Very funny, Hoyas. Manute should give that a try. This shot had Whalers goalie Peter Sidorkowicz scratching his head. Doink. Greg Dreiling using his noggin. The header just wide. You want frustration? The Timberwolves blowing a 5-on-none break. Charles Oakley with the outlet. To no one. Brian Payne doing a nice job of avoiding the pass. And Herb Delaney with a nice dish. To the coach. And Jerome Kersey, the half-court shot? Not quite. If you're that cold, why'd you leave Orlando? Fortunately, Ron Francis's pass goes astray with an assist from Bernie Nichols. If Mario could only have been so lucky. The rare miss. Michael Jordan, the spin move for 2. And with the tongue hanging, shredding the Hornets' defense for the sure deuce. Is there anything he can't do? Well, he'll get back to us on that one. Those are the plays of the week.
ESPN's Plays of the Week are brought to you by Apple Computer, the power to be your best.
Recently, we announced the most generous offer in the history of Apple Computer. Well, it wasn't. This is the most generous offer in the history of Apple Computer. Or if it isn't, it sure is way up there in the generosity department. $150 to $300 back on Apple II or Macintosh computer systems. For details and participating dealers, see the Sunday papers. But our generosity does have its limits. In this case, December 31st.
Sarah, keep an eye on your brother.
No matter what size your business, no matter what size the job, Konica copiers are ready. Konica, capturing the imagination.
Like a lot of business people, I thought all insurance companies were the same. Believe me, there's a world of difference out there. I know, because thanks to the Hartford, we survived the kind of fire that would have wiped out most companies. But with the Hartford's people behind my business, we met payroll. We got back on our feet. So please, don't tell me all insurance companies are the same. They're not.
When you need us most, we're at our best. The Hartford.
Taking time out now to update one score in the National Hockey League. Quebec at Vancouver, still tied up in the third period. Tugnut against McLean. Nordique's last win was November the 22nd, and Tony Tanti has 2 goals for the Canucks.
NFL Prime Time is next. In fact, you better get over there.
Yeah, NFL primetime coming your way in just a moment. All the scores and the highlights from week number 15. Thank you very much for watching. I'm John Saunders.
I'm Dan Patrick. Good night.
SportsCenter is brought to you by Michelob Dry. Bold taste with no aftertaste. Mick Dry refreshes completely. And by Mitsubishi Big Screen Televisions. This program would look better on a Mitsubishi Big Screen.